So here we are looking at the Rome Winterland, which is a new board for this year. It's kind of their free ride series, and Steph's going to get on this one. And it's kind of an interesting board. As you can see, if you look at the camber profile right here, it kind of looks like just regular camber, but what they say is it's camber in the back to a little bit of flat to a little early rise rocker, and you can see just a hint, like if I push this all the way up, you can see just a hint of rocker, and then when you press on it, just a hint more. So what this board feels like to me is mostly camber, and that's what we're going to classify it as. And what mostly camber means is it's mostly camber with maybe a little something else in there somewhere else, maybe a little passive rocker here, or a little just tiny bit of early rise. And so that's what this feels like to us. Another thing that's interesting is on side cut, from what the specs say, this is centered. But so I want to get the tape measure out and just kind of see, like, from a reference stance, you know, kind of like what you're looking at with setback on board, because almost every company does setback on side cut, not setback on board. And setback on board is kind of the most important part when it comes to float. Setback on side cut is the most important part when it comes to, you know, like riding the board centered, riding it switch, that kind of thing. But, you know, just a little bit here. So this is like 19 3/4 there, and then going to the reference stance here, you're looking at just a little more than 17 3/4. So pretty, you know, you've got a lot of setback on board, you know, I didn't check the specs to see if this has a little taper, but it doesn't really look that way, although the tail has a lot less volume than the nose. So there's definitely some float going on. So you're not really, you know, from the reference stance, you're not really like centered on board. You're only centered on side cut, it looks like. So that's good. But, you know, there's some healthy camber. It's a light board. Here's a look at the base. Here's a look at the camber profile up above. And Rome boards are interesting. They always don't look that good when you look at the catalog or the site. And then you get this thing in person and you're like, okay, this is good looking. The colors are better. Everything's better in person than it is when you're actually like looking at it online. So, you know, that's basically the Rome Winterland 145, and it's got a, you know, it's got a good bit of camber. It's going to be a really fun mountain board. It's really going to pop. They've got these, you know, pop rods on off the tail here, which is kind of cool. So, you know, in terms of float and powder, it's going to be a little better than camber. And you've got that, you know, setback on board. You got that extra volume in the nose, and you do the tail, and, you know, you're going to have that kind of fun ride. But we'll see what Steph thinks about it as we're carving up groomers. But this is the on the table look.